So we're coming up on the end of the school year. It's springtime. Things are slowly starting to come alive. We're getting closer to summer, and I don't know about you, but I'm getting a little antsy to start looking at curriculum and evaluating what all we've done this year and how that's gone. So I thought that today I would sit down and talk to you about how I'm going to evaluate our year and how I'm going to start planning for next year. Hi, my name is Adrian. I am a homeschool mom of 3. I have a 7-year-old, a 6-year-old, and a 2-year-old. So today I really just want to talk about the beginning stages of planning for next year. I don't want to really get into the specific grades and subjects just yet. I want to take the time this year to go over this year and what we have learned, go over our goal list that we set for this year, and just see what we've accomplished or haven't. I want to really think more broadly about homeschooling and our long-term vision and goals before I dive into planning the specific grades and subjects. So if you guys are interested after this video in planning specifically for each grade or subject, I will definitely make a video as I do that. But today I just want to talk about the broad planning and maybe just like the beginning stages of planning for next year. So I'm really excited to show you a few of the resources that I'm going to be using, and I will make sure to put all the links in the description so you guys can check those out if you're interested. So the first thing that I want to do to start planning for next year is to go through this homeschool vision planner that I printed out. This is from the Intentional Homeschool. It's from Intentional Homeschooling. I printed this off of her blog, and I want to go through this with my husband sometime in hopefully in the next week, but maybe the next few weeks. I'm really excited for this. I printed this out probably a week or 2 ago, and I haven't gotten to it yet. But this is all about not just planning your specific subjects or your specific curriculum, but really planning long term and your whys for homeschool. And it's so much. It's great. So in here, it goes through a few different sections. Has your introduction, and then you start off with your family culture, and it asks questions just about maybe choosing your family verse, your family motto, and then it has questions about what you want your kids to know or do or read before they leave your home. So it's not just broad goals or things you want to accomplish in the next year, but for your whole homeschool career or however long that's going to be. So I'm really excited about this. I haven't specifically thought about this. I have had thoughts cross my mind, but I didn't write them down anywhere. I didn't sit down by myself or with my husband to evaluate if that's a good thing that we want to go for or if we are trying for something else. But I'm really excited to think about all the books that I want them to read before they leave, or movies you want to watch together. Sometimes you have those books that you read as a child that you want to read to your children, and I know me, I forget a lot, and I don't write them down anywhere. So I'm excited to have this, that I can have those thoughts and have somewhere to put them. I can sit down and intentionally think about the books and the movies I want them to read and watch, and keep them all here. I'm definitely a planner. I'm definitely a type A person. Pen and pencil really help my brain to function and stay organized for the most part. And then it goes into the big picture, and this just asks you some things like what you want to have accomplished at the end of your homeschool journey, what you want your children to remember about homeschooling. I know we all want our children to have a pleasant homeschool experience, but specifically, what are you wanting your kids to come away with or remember? What are those memories that you're really working for? And then words to describe your homeschool. And then it just has this big space to list why you are homeschooling. And I like that it's just blank, so you can bullet, you can write out a paragraph or whatever you want, you can draw it out. I just like the open possibilities with this planner. And then it goes into looking back. So looking back over previous years or just the past year, however long you've been homeschooling, to look back and just think on what worked well, what didn't work well, things that you might change or wish you had changed. And then it moves on to this year, and this year part 1. And it just asks you things like why you think homeschooling is the best option for your family, which I think is good to evaluate year to year if this is still a good choice for your family. And then what you're excited about, worried about, some things that specifically you want to read this year, specific resources, looking through things like your Pinterest boards or different blogs that you follow, maybe like Instagram or Facebook, or things that you have saved. And then again, this is still part 1, but goals for each child. So you can pick a verse or a motto, their strengths, things that you want to work on with them character-wise. But for each child, so you could either just, write their name here, or you could print out one for each child that you have. So I could print one out for my first grader next year, my second grader next year, for this section. And then it also, for your child, has an annual interview. I really like to do these. We normally do them in the beginning of the year, where we just ask them fun questions, but also what they want to learn that year. This is good. I like the question, what are you good at? I don't think that that's ever been on my list of questions to ask them in their interviews. And then what are some areas you wish you were better at? So maybe they want to improve on something and you can help them, or you can include that in your homeschool for next year. And then what topics they want to learn about. I do like to ask my kids this. Maybe we don't always get to them all, but I do like to know what they're interested in and what they're wanting to learn. And then it has this year part 2, and it talks about just what you want. You've asked your children and you've gone through the previous years and your broad vision, and now it's time to sit down and think about your priority. If you have a theme or word or verse for the year, things that you want to, maybe units you want to do, or resources you want to use, things you might need to buy or borrow, field trips, and all those specific things. It has spaces for those. And then the last section, which I really like, is she has a mother culture section. And I really didn't do mother culture the first year that I homeschooled, but I've really been more intentional about it this year. Maybe not well, but I have tried to be intentional. And I like that there is just a specific spot for you to sit down and think about what you want to learn or study, or what in the Bible you want to study, or handicrafts, things that you want to prioritize. But I like that there is a space so that you can sit down and think about what you want to learn as well. Okay, so the next thing that I am going to be using to plan for next year is this skills checklist. I got this from Jessica at the Waldock Way. I grabbed this from her blog, and this is just a checklist that goes grade by grade. I think it's preschool through high school, and it's just 1 page per grade, and it just has a checklist of things to be learning that year. I did use this year for my children to come up with a goal list for them. I didn't just open this up and say, this is what we're learning. I did go through this and see if they already knew some things, or I didn't feel like they were ready for things. So I took this and made my own checklist for each child. I liked having this though as a reference to, so I didn't forget some of the things that we could be covering, or I didn't miss some things that I forgot about. It was just nice to have as a reference of things that were maybe age appropriate or grade level appropriate for my children. And she used this book, home learning year by year to make the checklist. So I went ahead and got this. I thought it would just be a good thing to have on hand for the rest of our homeschooling career, if you will. I had picked this up at the library a while ago, but life got crazy and it just wasn't enough time to read through it, and I thought that I would just grab this. I got this on Thrift Books. It is super cheap on Thrift Books. I actually used my points for a free book to get this, so for me, free. But it was only a couple dollars on Thrift Books. I'm sure you could find it at the library as well, or used on eBay for super cheap. I'm not sure how much it is new, but I am excited to go through this as I start planning each grade and each subject for my kids, just to learn for myself what each grade typically learns. This homeschooling process is not just learning for my children, but definitely learning for myself right alongside them, and learning and growing as a teacher too. So I figured this would be a really good resource for me. And then I have two more things that I'm going to be using to plan out next year. And this one is, I would recommend this to you if you have a child that is kindergarten to third grade. It is the 3 R's by Ruth, and it's for grades K through 3. And what this is a home start in reading, a strong start in language, and an easy start in arithmetic. So it's basically just a super simplified explanation of how to teach those 3 subjects. There are examples in here. It breaks it down grade by grade, and it also has many sample lessons. And this really helped me because I didn't want to buy a box curriculum for the year that we're in right now. And so I kind of pieced things together, and we did a lot of free resources. And this helped me just to keep on track and progress and not forget things in a very simplified way. It's a very thin book. I just bookmarked for first grade and for each subject. So I bookmarked here first grade writing, and it's super simple. It's really short. So here is the first grade, and it's just these few things that they need to go over: oral language, listening, writing, punctuation. And then it goes into more detail back here. She has sample lessons, and this is Christian based, so it's Bible sentences for writing practice, which I loved. So it just talks a little bit about here, and then it starts on the next page explaining different ways to go about that. It gives you a list of Bible sentences from easy, medium to more difficult, and I just love that it gives me examples, so I don't have to use it specifically, but I can see a good level of where to progress to next, or where to start with. And then there is also an easy start in arithmetic, and this was helpful as well. They have activity ideas. It talks about what they should be writing or comprehending, and this is definitely different than the public school standards. There is a lot of just talking about math and physically working it out with your child instead of having them do worksheets and writing it out. And this was really helpful. My kid did not like worksheets when we started this year. And so just to talk about it and work it out and have something to go back to when we were struggling, I can't recommend this enough. I really like this book. But I'll be going through that for the next grades. And then my last one, I haven't read this, but I'm excited to, and this is part of me trying to learn and grow as a teacher before we start on the next year. It is the book Know and Tell, The Art of Narration, and I have heard nothing but good things about this. I'm really interested in the Charlotte Mason method, but the one thing that I struggle with is understanding just the narration and dictation and what they should be doing at what age and stage. And so this, every time I have seen someone else have the same question, this is the book that is recommended. So this is part of my mommy teacher school for next year, and I am really excited about this one. Okay, so that's all that I have that I'm going to be using to start my planning for next year. I'm going to link everything in the description if you guys are interested and want to use some of these as well. I'm really antsy and excited to start planning for next year, and you know, it's the end of winter. We're struggling a little bit to be motivated, and I'm just excited for the warm weather and planning. And I am a planner. I like to plan. I like to have the pens and the paper and the pencils and the sticky notes and plans and all the things. So that makes me excited. So I hope this was helpful to you. And again, if you're interested in more planning videos and curriculum choices, those will definitely be coming up soon as we work those out. So if you like this video, please like it and subscribe so you can see more.